Another film, The Missing.
Right.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee, Kate Blanchett.
Great film. You coordinated that as well.
Yes, sir. And I had my daughter there, who's a stunt girl, and I had her doubling Kate Blanchett. Mm-hmm. And one day we had a shot where she had to go, she's leading 3 horses up on a cliff, and it's raining, and the rocks are slick, and she says, Walter, Kate says, Walter, you sure this is safe for me? I says, Kate, I don't want my daughter doing it. Get out there.
Welcome to A Word on Western. I'm Rob Word, and today we are going to be action-packed because we have a stuntman and an actor who has worked with Quentin Tarantino. He's worked with Eastwood. He's worked with Hal Needham, the great stuntman, kind of replaced Yakima Canutt as the modern stuntman. And his name, who's joining us today, is Walter Scott. Walter, come on in. How are you? Thank you. Have a seat. Well, it's nice to see that you're walking, no broken bones. You're looking great, healthy.
Sometimes.
So, you were in a film filled with kids, cowboy kids. It was John Wayne's The Cowboys that Mark Rydell directed. I love that movie. Even though Duke gets killed, it's exciting. The kids get their revenge. How did you happen to get in that?
Well, Buzz Henry was the stunt coordinator on it, and I was on another show in Mexico. And he asked me if I'd like to play a part in it. And I said, well, sure, I'd love to play a part in it. So I finished in Mexico and went to Santa Fe and went out on the set, great set, one of the greatest sets I've ever seen built. And Mark Rydell was the director. And when we went out, we rehearsed with him in the trailer and hadn't met John Wayne or anything. And we went, he says, come on, let's go out on the set. When we go out on the set, John Wayne's inside the corral. And when he comes out, so we stand there and John Wayne comes out and says, why don't you boys get a Ingersoll watch and get here on time or something? My line to him was, well, your work is like dogs, night and day, and Christmas too. And he looked at me and he said, is he gonna read that line that way? My heart's beating like that. I said, shit, he hates my acting. Because if he does, I'd hit him. Better move him over there. Well, I just jumped over there. But he was great. Yeah. I mean, he was so professional.
I'm next. My name's Homer Williams, Mr. Anderson, and I hope I ain't wrote all the rough off of it.
You all right, boy?
Yes, sir. My name's Clyde Potter. They call me Fats.
Then enjoyed the gut myself.
Not everybody knew how to ride, did they?
All those kids did. Those
Really?
kids that they cast. Buzz Henry came out to a roping arena by my house even, and Clay O'Brien, the littlest one, he became 8-time world champion
Yes.
team roper. And all those kids were good hands. They were amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a great movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I'll cry when I'm watching these little kids.
Yeah, and Bruce is so bad.
Oh, he's bad.
Ooh.
He had hell living that down. He still does.
Well, it took him a
People hate
long time. Laura Dern, who just got an Emmy, said that she'd go to school and the kids hated her. They just teased her. You killed John Wayne.
Right. Oh, he was a dirty somebody. Yeah.
But you point your ears now, son. Because you ain't running back to Mr. Will Anderson with them eyes rolling back in your head, telling him that there's these real bad men that been following us day and night. You're not gonna say that. Because I'm gonna come to you some night when it's real dark. I'm gonna come to you on tiptoe. So you ain't never gonna be able to hear me.
Recently, they did a film called, was it Hateful Eight? Mm-hmm. And they had a young guy in there doubling Bruce. He's an old man now like me. And
He's older.
Anyway, the kid wasn't falling like an old man, so the coordinator called me and said, Walter, would you mind coming in and doubling Bruce? And I said, what I gotta do? He said, you're sitting in a chair and you just stand up, you get shot, and fall back in the chair. I said, oh, I think I could do that. So anyway, I go in there.
Get stunt pay for that, okay.
Right, I go in there and they stand me up, and Tarantino said, no, you get shot, you go over that table and you hit over here on the floor. And my son was there, who's a stuntman now. And each time I did it like 8 times. And the first time, my son had come in and said, "Dad, you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm all right." So the last time, I knew he didn't have any more clothes for me, so I did it. And my son came in and kicked my foot and said, "Dad, you all right?" I didn't answer him. I just laid there. He kicked me again and said, "Dad, you all right?" And Tarantino said, "Wes, make him answer you." I started laughing. I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." Anyway, that was my Bruce Dern story.
Well, Quentin loves movies, and I tell you, the Django Unchained, I know you worked that too. That's his highest grossing movie.
Really? I didn't know that. But
that's why he was able to make another Western, Hateful Eight. But working with him, is he so creative on set, or does he give everybody a lot of freedom? What's he like to work with as a director?
Well, you know, I didn't work with him that much. I mean, I was there. They say he used to watch, he worked at Blockbuster, and when nobody was renting films or whatever, he would look at them, and he looked at all these old Westerns. So he told Jeff Dashnow, who was the coordinator on Django, he said, "I want some of these legends in here." He says, "Get that Walter Scott and that Terry Leonard and, I don't know, Buddy Joe Hooker." And he brought us all in, and so Tarantino says, "I want to meet these legends." Yeah. So we had sacks on our heads anyway. We were in that scene, which was a funny scene.
That is a funny scene.
But he was, I don't know, I thought he was great. He was in that scene with us. And he would say, "Get those legends and bring them in here to my trailer. I want to show them this film we've just shot." Well, I thought he was a nice guy and easy to be around.
We got a fight going on that's a good bit of fun.
He loves movies.
Right.
And I heard on Hateful Eight that he kept the soundstage freezing cold.
Oh, man, it was 32 degrees in there. You're just freezing cold in there, you know.
So the breath was real, we were saying.
Yeah. Everybody had to put coats on to go in, but it was, I think it helped the film, you know.
Yeah. You've worked with another legend, one of my favorites, everybody's favorites, Clint Eastwood, and I think his favorite Western for me anyway, my favorite Western of Clint's is Outlaw Josie Wales. Right. You're in that, Farnsworth is in that, it's just a wonderful film. What's Clint like? Is it like, okay, we shot it, we're done, we're moving on?
Exactly. Yeah. No, he's very good. In fact, we started that film with another director.
Philip Kaufman.
Phil Kaufman.
Happened to know that, that's
right.
all.
And we shot for 2 weeks. And Clint didn't like what he was doing. He's being very creative, you know, he'd pan up from the wheels to the actors and stuff. And Clint said, "That isn't the kind of film I make." So he took over and started directing. And we still came in 2 weeks early and under budget. But he would just print and move on. You know, he was very, very good at what he did. But I thought it was a great movie, too.
It's wonderful, from the relationships and everything.
Right.
Well, and his relationship with Sandra Locke, I guess, was kindled on that film.
It was kindled right there, yeah. And Farnsworth, I had 4 old-time stuntmen ride up and meet him, and the old Chief Dan George was saying he's getting the sun in his back, you know, all this. And I had Dick Farnsworth and Bear Hudkins and the 2 Walker boys.
Leaves dead men wherever he goes. Get out of the way, woman!
Whenever I get to liking someone, they ain't around long.
I notice when you get to disliking someone, they ain't around for long either.
In fact, they're all gone now, all 4 of those guys. And Dick was a stuntman then. I don't think he'd done much acting.
No, he said he was falling off of horses still that year. Then right after that, he did Comes a Horseman. I think he coordinated that.
Right. Well, it recommended him to do it.
Yeah.
That's another story. But anyway, those guys all did back-overs, and I thought they did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
And they were all in their 60s, I think, at the time, you know.
Well, so with Comes a Horseman, where Dick got a part, finally. He said he was a blinker, though. It was hard for him.
Well, you know, I was on scouting locations with the director, and he was having hell. In fact, he wanted Jason Robards to play that part. And I said, he's not right, you know. But I said, we're out to dinner one night, and I said, I know a guy I think is the perfect guy for it. Now, I don't know how good he can act, but he's perfect for this part. He said, what's his name? And he wrote it down on a napkin, Dick Farnsworth. Dick came in to meet him. He didn't have to read. He just walked in and he said, "You got it." And halfway through the movie, he said, "I'm going to get him nominated for an award. Just watch." And he did. So
Yeah.
Dick did a hell of a job, but it was just a natural. That was him. That whole character
Yes,
was
it
him.
was.
You know.
You know, you cry. It's so heartfelt when he's gone.
Yeah.
This season's gonna hold the worst work we ever done. It's gonna be worse than last year.
I never wanted it to happen this way, but you left me no choice.
From their struggle comes an adventure, comes a romance, comes a love the land has never known, comes A Horseman.
A film that got buried, but there's something about it that I love. The movie is Tom Laughlin's The Master Gunfighter. There are some great sequences in that. Dick is in that too, I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of stunt guys in there. That guy was kind of crazy, you know.
Yeah, how crazy? Like
completely. You know, I mean, when he was shooting the scene, he would look back at the set and see if anybody was talking. In fact, he saw a big guy named Bob Trehune, who was a big stuntman. He looked back and he saw him and he says, "Hey, you come here." And Bob says, "You talking to me?" And he went running up there and Laughlin took off.
Yeah, I met Bob one time. His dad, Max Alibi Terhune in The Three Musketeers, too.
Right. No, Bob was a big mean guy at one time. Then he saw the light and became a nice man.
Yeah. That's kind. That's kind. Ronnie Howard's film that he wrote and based on his grandmother or grandfather in the Oklahoma Land Rush, Far and Away with Tom Cruise. That's a spectacular sequence, and you were coordinator on that as well.
Yes, sir. I thought it was one of the best sequences that I've ever even seen, much less have something to do with it. But we had over 200 wagons hooked up. We had 400 men and women on horseback, and we had 1,000 people on the ground. Quite a big, big undertaking. And luckily, we didn't kill anybody. We hurt a few, but it was pretty spectacular. When that race started, Ron turned to me and says, "Walter, should we fire the cannon or just go with smoke?" I said, let's fire the cannon. So when they fired the cannon, you saw all those horses and everything down there just react all at once when the cannon went off and the race was on, and it made your heart go.
Yeah, it looks like a documentary. Yeah, it's almost put you right there. That was spectacular.
It was a great sequence to have something to do with, all the wagon stuff, and I know it was great.
Yeah,
and Ron is great to work.
Yeah, he loves westerns, and another film, The Missing, with Tommy Lee Jones,
Tommy Lee, Kate Blanchett.
Oh, great film. You coordinated that as well.
Yes, sir. And I had my daughter there, who's a stunt girl, and I had her doubling Kate Blanchett. And one day we had a shot where she had to go. She's leading 3 horses up on a cliff, and it's raining, and the rocks are slick, and she says, Kate says, "Walter, you sure this is safe for me?" I says, "Kate, I don't want my daughter doing it. Get out there." I mean, she was a good gal.
She's fantastic. That's the relationship that she and Tommy had too was just strong.
And the little girl was awesome too.
Michael Cimino, the Academy Award-winning director of The Deer Hunter, the Academy Award-winning film, looks now to another period in America's turbulent past, another time of hope and courage. Michael Cimino's Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate took down United Artists, and we have a man right here who worked on it. So, what was the problem?
Well, it was Michael Cimino.
Okay.
I mean, he would just went to a location where he could have gone to Big Bear and got the same location. A tree's a tree is what they tried to tell him, and it was an hour and a half to location to and from, so everybody's on massive overtime. And I only worked up there 2 or 3 weeks, and I told Buddy Van Horn, who was the coordinator, I said, "Buddy, I got another job. I'm out of here. I'm tired of sleeping in the cars, going back and forth to these locations." So I didn't stay very long, but You know, I think it turned out to be a pretty good film.
I
I've
think
watched
so
it
too.
Recently.
There's a lot of problems with it. That the whole first reel you could probably lose.
Right.
The ballroom dance sequence and just jump right into it because it is beautifully shot.
Yeah, no.
I think Vilmos Zsigmond, I believe, shot that.
Yeah. No, I thought it was ended up being a good film.
When you were working it, what segments were you doing?
Well, we were. I don't know what we were, settlers or whatever we were, coming into town, and there was like 200 of us on horses or something, and it was snowing and cold and miserable. You had all of us stuntmen lined up and coming in, and we all kind of found spots to duck into because we did it all day for days, you know, just shoot it over and over and over again. And being the smart guys we are, we found places to duck in real quick so we didn't have to get out of the snow.
They're coming! We all want to hold together to push ourselves ahead, to protect what we have.
We're going to shoot all the sons of bitches!
You worked with Tom Selleck, too.
I did a bunch of films with Tom. The Sackets and Last Stand at Sabre River, and he and I go way back. We were both, first time I met him, we were going on commercial interviews. He was I forget, Salem man, and I ended up being a Winston man, and we ran into each other. In fact, he said, Walter, I got a job going to Hawaii. You better come and coordinate this thing. And I said, I don't know. It's 6 months in Hawaii. I love it, but I've been there on another movie for 4 or 5 months. And they said, you get island fever. And I said, I'd lose all my contacts in Hollywood. And I said, so I didn't go. I kind of wished I had. You know?
He was there for like 6 or 7 years, I think. Yeah.
But he would call me every year, every February, no matter what I've been doing, I would get to go to Hawaii for a week and play a part or do a stunt or something, you know. So he was a great guy, I think.
Well, with the Sackets, that's the film that put him on the map, and Jim Burns wrote and produced that, and he, originally I understand that his part was going to be Buck Taylor's.
Oh yeah, I didn't know about all that. I remember Tom was off doing something else at the time, and they were having hell getting him off of this other show. He was in somewhere, flying an airplane and doing another show. He was, and I did a lot of his stuff in the very beginning, and he didn't like the way the hat was shaped, and Tom was having hell. But I thought that Sackets was a very good.
It's terrific.
I wish they would have done more of those things.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Sam too. Sam, you worked with Sam.
Great. Yeah, Sam's great. I mean, in fact, I saw him here the last time I saw him, and he says, Walter, you think I got another Western in you? And I said, I hope so. Let's do one. You know.
They're the best. What is it about Westerns that make them so much fun to do?
Well, they're hard work, but they're just fun because you know, as growing up as kids, we played cowboys and Indians, and I've got to go through my adult life playing cowboys and Indians. So I think the Westerns are just something that some of us grew up with and just love it and never weakened from it, you know.
Well, there's a few coming back. Do you think the Westerns will have a resurgence?
No, I think they'll always make Westerns, but I don't think they'll be like they were, you know. I don't think they'll ever, but I think if they got a good script and it's good actors in it, that they're acceptable, you know. People go see them. I think they make more money in the Midwest and everywhere. Maybe not on the East Coast or the West Coast. They don't do as well Westerns, but so I think they get a bad rap that they don't do good. But I think people rent them, and the residuals become astronomical for the guys because people rent them and like to watch them at home.
Well, I love to watch them too. Of the Westerns that you're not in, that you weren't involved with, do you have a favorite Western?
Well, The Wild Bunch, I wasn't involved in it, but boy, I thought that was one of the greatest Westerns ever made. And Sam Peckinpah, who directed that, I did a couple of films with him even, and I thought he was a very good director.
Oh yeah, The Wild Bunch is exceptional.
Yeah, exceptional movie. I just liked the era, what it was about, you know, a turn of the old West going into modern times, you might say, and these old guys were in their last waning days of being what they were. You know.
Well, we all hope that you and Sam get a chance to make that other Western too. Well, thank you for coming.
Well,
thank you.
Heaven's Gate. The story of a man's love for a woman, for a people, for a land, for a spirit that would never die. Kristofferson in Michael Cimino's Heaven's Gate.
Hi, I'm Rob Word. Thanks for watching A Word on Westerns. Each week we post a new episode, and all you have to do is subscribe right here. Click on this, you won't miss a one. Adios.